There's been a recent trend on social media to post videos talking about the rising costs of consumer goods, groceries, what have you, and to basically complain about inflation. A lot of them never seem to have an answer for it and just complain about prices going up. We found this clip here that's an exceptional crash out on this subject. We're going to react to it a little bit and talk about it through the lens of that we have as Bitcoiners.
I'm going to start this out by saying
we should also say there's a lot of F-bombs in here. We're going to try our best to bleep them out, but there's a lot of them. So here we go.
A lot of them.
Too many.
I'm going to start this out by saying I'm going to crash the out. Sure am. This is going to be a valid crash out in my opinion too. I was just asked by somebody how many vacations I went on this year and what I did that was fun this summer. You know what? Nothing. You know why? Because I can't afford it. I cannot afford to go camping and sleep in the woods. I can't afford to drive up there because the gas prices in this state are astronomical. Like, you just don't get it. People just don't get how unaffordable life is anymore. The American dream is the American goddamn nightmare. It is bull shit. I'm so mad. You can't make this shit up. I make more money. Me and my husband both make more money now than we've ever made in our whole lives. We are kicking ass, literally, at making money. Our kids moved out. It's us. We are struggling to survive. We are struggling to just make it to the next day. You know why? Because this country's bullshit. You can't do anything. You can't thrive. You cannot, not in this this economy can suck it. They can eat me. I'm so done. The fact that I make over $2,000 a week. You know what it is? It's payroll taxes. It's the gas tax. It's property tax. It's tax my mother. I can't. I am so done. I just want a couple days off to leave the shithole state, drive over to Idaho, sit in the sand, put my feet in the water, and forget this bullshit. But can I borrow some money for gas? You know, because I only made $2,800 last week. And, you know, this everything.
Rajat, you got some work cut out.
Oh my God. I was listening to it and I was thinking, oh my, this is going to take hours to edit.
If anyone has the F-bomb counter on that one, throw it in the comments here. How many F-bombs did she drop? I mean, my first thought on that video is she made a lot of good points. I mean, I feel like there's a lot of people going through this exact thing right now in America and Canada, in all parts of the world. Everybody's feeling the same sense of struggle right now. No matter how hard you work, no matter how much you get paid, it's all going up, but it seems like life gets harder and harder. So she was talking about payroll tax, property tax. Here in Canada, we have good and service tax. What's the PST? Purchasing sales tax or provincial sales tax?
Provincial sales, yeah.
Carbon tax. Like, she's on to something here. And she said something that I wanted to repeat. She said, it's impossible to thrive. And she said, in this, and then just couldn't find a word. But it's impossible to thrive in that system. It's impossible to thrive in the fiat system. You cannot get ahead. No matter how hard you work, no matter how many bonuses and raises you get, you can never get ahead because everything that you own and stored in fiat is depreciating by the second. So people like her, I'm going to get into a few more things here, but that was kind of my first thought, is it is impossible to thrive if you're storing your wealth in fiat.
I don't know, man. I think she just needs to work harder. I think that's the problem. Yeah, no, I mean, you can, like, the thing is this person has identified a problem, but they haven't figured out the solution. She says, my husband and I have make more money than we ever have. We don't have kids in the house. We can't afford gas to go camping. That's crazy, right? Like, why is that a reality? And, she did mention like, there's that other meme, like in this economy, right? Like extra bacon in this economy. Are you kidding me? It's like, that's the other thing, right? People blame the economy, right? And it's just like, these things can be factors, but ultimately they're part of this massive problem, which is the fiat system. When you're storing your value in something that can be printed away and is printed away and devalued rapidly, and this is something that you are working hard for, everything else that is produced at a more difficult level than the dollars that you're acquiring is increasing in value compared to those dollars. Um, if you are acquiring something that is very difficult to produce more of, that thing is going to increase in value compared to things that are easier to produce. So, this is the idea of sound money, right? Gold is very difficult to produce more of, right? So people acquired gold, held on to it, and it couldn't be debased at a faster rate than the commodities, the corn, wheat, meat, the houses. All of these things can be produced easier than gold could be. And now we have digital gold, which is even harder to create more of. It's hard to acquire more of. It's hard to acquire more Bitcoin than any other thing in the world. And so when you do acquire it, everything else goes down in price against it. It's as simple as that.
I find it so crazy that the US dollar is probably the most abundant thing in the economy, right? And people think that everything is getting more expensive. No, it's not. It's the fact that the money that you're getting paid is becoming worth less and less over time. Like it's going to keep becoming worthless and more worthless and more worthless. Is constantly going to be this debasement of the value that you create. And if you stay in that fiat currency system, there's nothing you can do about it. Nothing you can do to help yourself, nothing that you can do to change your future. You have to change something fundamentally. There's this concept that I was when I was doing the CFA stuff, there was this professor whose videos I'd watch. He was talking about garbage in, garbage out. So if you start with garbage, you're going to end up with garbage, right? If you, let's say, for example, you make so you're a film producer. If you start off with shitty actors, you're going to end up with a shitty video, right? If you start off with shitty ingredients and you're trying to make something, you're going to end up with a shitty product at the end of it, right? If you go to a restaurant, if you go to a high-end restaurant, they don't want to start off with shitty ingredients. They'll do whatever they can to source better ingredients.
Yeah.
Right. And that's exactly what's happening here. We are starting off with a shitty product. We're getting paid with that shitty product for our time, our energy, our labor, our skills. We put all of our lives into gathering the skills that we need to offer value in the economy, in the fake economy, the economy, and it's all garbage because we start off with fake money. We start off with fake money that we can borrow to get an education. People don't actually want to get an education. They just get an education because they think that it'll get them more money. So you keep going and you keep spiraling down this path where the education is worth nothing. The money that you get is worth nothing. The skills that you're acquiring are worth nothing. You can't transfer those skills to other things. Instead of going to school, I think you'd be better off trying to start a business. Right. And that's where the garbage in, garbage out comes in, where if you start a business, you're learning these skills that will end up not being garbage, and you can use them in other parts of your life instead of wasting your time, your energy, your skills, going to school, spending tens of thousands of dollars to work a job that you end up hating. What kind of life is that? And I was kind of laughing during the video because she kept swearing.
Yeah.
And the person who's watching it, you're probably not going to hear the swear words because I'm just going to cancel.
We hear a lot of bleeps.
There's probably not even bleeps. They'll just be silent, right?
Okay.
And maybe I'll add in a F-bomb counter for you, Jor. But watching the video, you can tell that she was really frustrated, and you can't blame her, right? I was laughing during the video, but at the end of it, I mean, it's really sad, the fact that she's having to do this. And think about it, before TikTok, before Instagram, before YouTube, how would you have communicated this information to friends
Well,
and
you would
family.
just yell at the sky, and it's getting the same effect pretty much.
Yeah.
Yeah, or you'd hang out at a, at the in your yard with your friends around the fire, drinking beers and complaining about prices. Like that's all you could do, right? You could, it's a terrible situation. But
And if
yeah,
nobody makes the connection that the money is shit and not the
That's the
product,
whole thing. Yeah.
right? The
like-
more people that look at this, the better the connection can be made, and the more we can spread that connection out to other people so that they leave the system.
Well, at that point in your life, like, okay, so a couple different things and thoughts in my head. Number one, she said she's making $28 or $2,800 a week. So obviously she's doing something where she's adding enough value to get that in return. Like that's nothing to joke about. Like if I was making $2,800 a week, I would be probably, I don't know, somewhere else right now. But like that's a lot. The problem is she's just living in the wrong system. That's the whole problem. And Forrest, you brought something up here. I actually have the exact same picture on my screen that I was going to bring up. So that's kind of interesting. But the other part of that too is like for somebody who is working noticeably harder, making noticeably more money, but still getting further and further behind, do you really think that the solution to that is setting up a phone in your kitchen and yelling and dropping a bunch of F-bombs? Like, what does she think's going to happen? A fairy's going to drop some cash out of the sky on top of her head? Like, maybe start with why. Like maybe start with why. Why is this happening? And people will say, well, she doesn't have time. She's working too hard. That's BS. You could wake up an hour earlier. You could cover your lunch break. You could, instead of watching Netflix at night, you could start asking questions and figuring out, hey, something's wrong here. Maybe I should try to find a solution to it instead of yelling at my phone like a crazy person.
If she has time to make that video, it probably means she's like scrolling.
That's what I mean.
Media, at least sometimes, right?
Well, the other thing here too is like she makes $2,800 a week, right? That's what she said. If she even took time off, made less money, but used that time off to educate herself about, how to save money and how to, like what the money system is and what Bitcoin is and all this stuff, like she's going to be much wealthier because of that. And that goes to that sailor quote of we spend like thousands of hours of our life working. You need to at least spend 100 hours learning how to save in something that does not leak value, right? It's just like, why? Well, why do we, that's kind of it, right? It's like the solution that a lot of people think of. And I said it as a joke. Oh, it sounds like she's just not working hard enough. That is what a lot of people think right away. And they think, oh, you just need to earn more money. You just need to earn more cash. And it's like the idea of like polishing a turd. It's like, you just need to polish this turd more to make it nicer. It's like it's a turd. The US dollar is a turd, right? Like there's no getting around that. Like you need to rebase yourself on something sound, and that thing is Bitcoin. And yeah, if you want to pull up that picture, actually, Jor, I'll talk about that right now.
That's the other thing I was going to say there too, is like with if somebody, like I'm sure there's a lot of Bitcoiners out there who store their wealth in Bitcoin who are earning way less than $2,800 per week and are way less stressed, working way less than she would be. But just because they're saving their money, they're measuring things in a different world, like Forrest is going to show here. It makes all the difference.
Yeah. And it's really tough because it sounds crazy for all we're saying here is, oh, Bitcoin fixes this. Bitcoin is the solution here. Just store your value in Bitcoin and you will be wealthy. And it sounds stupid because it sounds so simple, but it is true. And this is a visualization of that. This is all like, because the new iPhone just came out, these are the iPhones throughout time, different years, right? Starting in 2011, and the cost of these iPhones in Bitcoin. And these have remained the same dollar value. I mean, a lot of these iPhones cost, $1,000, right? Something around there. And the technology is getting better every single year. So it's actually deflationary, even if the dollar amount stays the same.
Mm-hmm.
Plus those dollars are going down in value too. But in Bitcoin terms, nominally, it's gone from 162 entire Bitcoin to 0.014 Bitcoin to get the iPhone 16 in 2024. And this relates to everything. This is gas prices. This is home prices. This is the taxes she's complaining about. All of that gets cheaper if you're pricing it in Bitcoin.
That's a 99.99% drop.
Yeah.
That's insane.
And the
iPhone
phone's
4S,
gotten
yeah.
so much better. I mean, an
Yeah.
iPhone 4S, you're probably not even going to be able to turn that thing on at this point.
Hmm.
Right? It's not worth 162 Bitcoin, but back then it was, right? Yeah.
162 Bitcoin is 18 million today, by the way.
Yeah.
And the funny thing is, this applies to everything. People don't
Yeah.
see it. They don't get it. They don't get, oh, how can a house be worth 1 million Satoshis? Right? Back then, somebody would probably be saying, oh, how can one Bitcoin ever be worth 0.014 Bitcoin? Or how can one iPhone be worth 0.0114 Bitcoin in 15 years? Right? People would be thinking that's ridiculous. That's crazy. That doesn't even make any sense. But here we are.
I was looking on the Bitcoin Talk forum the other day, doing some research for this product that I'm building. There was somebody, there was a community event where they were trying to raise funds for an open source animation explaining who Satoshi was. A 5-minute animated clip. They raised 4,600 Bitcoin, and they gave that to the animator of this that
Back in the
created the
day?
animation. Yeah, it was a long time ago, but 4,600 Bitcoin to do a 5-minute animation.
What's that worth today? A lot.
It's insane.
And that's the other thing too, is like, you know, people might be hearing this and say, well, okay, I make $2,800 a week. My life is miserable. Just because I'm saving in Bitcoin, that's going to change everything. Well, yes, for one. But the other part of it too is like much more than just retaining your purchasing power over time. It's becoming a Bitcoiner. You change a lot of different things in your life. I'm sure that she spends half her paycheck on Amazon or on whatever. Like becoming a Bitcoiner and seeing that your wealth isn't just melting every day, that you can actually hang on to this for a while and it's going to be worth more in a year or 5 years or 10 years, your spending habits change. And I know for a fact, just based on her house, that her mortgage is not taking up $2,800 a week. So clearly that's going somewhere. And so that's, as a Bitcoiner, you change what you want versus what you need. And what you don't need, you put into Bitcoin so you can have more of what you want in the future.
And it's not an immediate thing, right? This is a gradual thing.
Right.
I mean, it happens relatively quickly, like over months or a couple years. But as you save in Bitcoin, that's going to increase in value. And as you see that increase in value and you learn more about it, exactly as George said, you're going to reevaluate these wasteful things that you're doing. You're going to reallocate money towards more Bitcoin, and you're going to see the benefits of all of that. It's going to change who you are as an individual and what you believe, and all sorts of different knock-on effects. But it will take time. It's not an immediate fix. There's no such thing in the world for basically any problem that ever existed. There's no such thing as an immediate fix, especially without consequence. So Bitcoin is not an immediate fix. You have to understand the volatility that comes with it. You might buy it at a local top, and then all of a sudden you're 20% down. And you think, oh, well, I got tricked. I got tricked by these 3 Canadian guys who told me this was going to solve every issue that I've ever had in my life. And it's like, over time, right? Over time, this thing does, right? It does solve all your issues. We saw it. iPhone 4 came out in 2011, right? And now we're in 2024. So over that time, it has stored value better than anything over the time. Bitcoin has stored value better than anything, and everything else has gone against it. There's a couple years there where that's not the case because of the volatility of Bitcoin. But that's something you have to begin to understand and recognize that this is, I mean, we live many years in the world. So if there's a solution that does take a couple years to create a fix to your problem, then it's probably worth investigating that solution and seeing if that's right for you.
I think, what was I going to say there? I mean, from my own experience with this, like kind of what you're saying there for us is like perfect, because I went through that exact same thing where I started looking into precious metals, because when I found out the dollar is an illusion and completely broken on a one-way train off a cliff, I started buying some precious metals, some cryptos, and then finally got into Bitcoin. And I bought the top pretty much, essentially. I sold my rental house, bought the top, and then I had to spend 2 years watching my net worth just go down and down and down and down and down. And, you know, because of that, instead of going out and buying supper or buying this, I just bought Bitcoin instead, because the price is lower now. I can buy more sats for the dollars that I have. And then 4 or 5 years later, like everything in my life is very cheap right now. You know, over that. So the first 2 years weren't that way for me, but then the next 2 years, if you make it through 4 or 5 years in Bitcoin, it is going to have a very positive impact on your overall financial situation and your purchasing power, your wealth.
I think that's one of the things that really separates the people who eventually become wealthy versus the people who don't.
Yep.
The time horizon, right? So let's say, for example, I don't know that person, but chances are that if she were to look at the Bitcoin chart, she wouldn't even pay attention to 4 years ago, right? She'd probably look at a month ago, and she'd see the price went from 125K to 113K, and that's all that would matter. The chances are that that's the case with her, right? A lot of people think that way. It takes a lot of time to actually wrap your head around the fact that Bitcoin's price is like the short-term time horizon is it's a distraction, right? It's a way for you to get shaken out, right? And most people don't want to look at that. Most people don't see the long-term solution. They want that get-rich-quick scheme. They want that way to not have to suffer through the volatility. But I don't think that's the way to go, right? Everything that we have today is based on these short-term solutions. So right now I don't even think we've really solved the 2008 great financial crisis, right? The short-term solution was to print more money and dump it into the economy, and that's exactly why camping is so much more expensive. That's exactly why gas is so much more expensive, and things will just get worse. See, that's the sad part here. She's complaining right now when gas is in America, like $3 a gallon or something. Canada now it's like $1.35 a gallon or a liter. At some point, it's going to be $13 a liter, right? And people don't see that. At some point, a Big Mac is going to cost $40. It sounds crazy today, and people just don't see it. They're not prepared for it.
Well, when a Big Mac was $1, I'm sure it sounded crazy to think, oh, it's going to be $8 or $10 or whatever a Big Mac is. I don't even know, but telling somebody back then that it's going to cost that much, they'd be like, no way.
Yeah.
And it's going to be half the size and
shittier ingredients,
terrible quality and everything. But I think what you're saying there is so important about the long-term time horizon perspective and the short term, because the thing is here, like if you go on TikTok, like this was probably posted on TikTok. TikTok is just full of crypto people. And I've posted on comments on some of these crypto TikToks, and I say, forget all of this that you're talking about, just buy Bitcoin. And the response is always, oh, well, Bitcoin's already 113,000. Even if it goes to 200,000, I'm only doubling my money. It's you can't become wealthy off this anymore. You got to buy meme coin du jour or utility token vaporware, and that kind of mentality is super short-term thinking, because you're thinking, oh, it's going to 100x. I'm going to time the bottom perfectly. I'm going to time the top perfectly. I'm going to get out of the top of this basically rug pull, which all of them are. And instead, what happens is you not only lose your ability to store your value with something like Bitcoin, but you're actually losing the value of your initial asset, probably in dollar terms. And it's setting you further and further behind. So it's actually doing the exact opposite when you think short term than what you want. And what you're doing when you think short term in these types of things is you're gambling. And you're not going to be a good gambler. Professional gamblers, they spend their lives honing their skills. And even still, it takes one mistake and they're out. They're out on the streets. It's not a life to live. Being a gambler is not a good life.
Yeah. I wanted to share this graphic or this picture from a magazine. This was like 25 years ago, 30 years ago or something like that. Like you can see this is crazy. They say in 30 years, a burger and fries could cost $16. How much does a burger and fries cost today?
I bought a pita for $18, I think, the other day. So less than a burger and fries worth.
Well, the thing is now, like you go to a regular restaurant, it's like a burger is $15, and then you got to buy fries separately. Like they just like, we haven't raised the price as much, but now it's just separate. You got to, You buy the burger, but then you got to get the lettuce, the tomato. Every single thing is going to be
Ice
extra.
cube.
It's all going to be a DLC that you got to download afterwards.
Yeah.
Crazy.
A vacation, $12,500. Back then, how much would it probably cost? Like $1,000, $2,000, maybe 3,000. Today, it's actually $12,500 for a good vacation.
Oh yeah,
right? Like if you have a family of 4 that you want to go on vacation with, minimum 10K.
easily. Yeah.
Minimum. Like that, and that's probably like if you skimp out on things, right? If you don't go for the high-end hotels, if you don't get the high-end meals, like you're gonna be buying low-end stuff, and you're probably paying more than this. A basic car, $65,000. I don't think we've actually reached that yet. I think right now you'd get like a mid-tier SUV for that much. But at some point, if this will be the case, I mean, we'll reach it. We'll reach that at some point. I believe in America. I believe in the economy destroying people's purchasing power and transferring it over to other people. I know that'll happen.
Yep.
The reason why burgers and fries are already there is because people love burgers and fries. A bunch of fatties walking around the earth right now, just consuming seed oils, just like shove it in their throats, so that they're willing to pay for that. Where there's less people that are able to go on vacation, so the price hasn't got actually it probably is that much. I talked to a guy who took his family, it was like 50 grand to go to Disneyland. So it's like, but a car, less people have cars now. More people are Ubering around or walking or biking because they can't afford to buy a car. So the demand for cars have actually come down, which probably hasn't got the price yet to 65K. But if you want like a decent truck nowadays in Canada, it's $100,000.
I think the other thing too is there's been a huge amount of technological improvements on the manufacturing side and the scaling side of building cars. They've had to become hyper efficient. Being a car manufacturer is probably one of the worst businesses you could ever do. It's super capex heavy, all this stuff. But the input costs of burgers and fries and vacations, which is all the labor that goes into it, all the fuel and everything, those input costs are not as deflationary, as something like a car is. So, the reason that this is skewed a little bit with cars being a little underpriced in this prediction is, I would say, because of exactly the fact that human ingenuity and what we do is deflationary, and it affects certain things more than others. The input costs of the meat and the potatoes, the oil, that stuff is deflationary, but less so than what we've been able to technologically advance from this picture with the manufacturing process of cars. I would say that would be my reason why.
And look at the bottom here. No problem. You'll eat in, you won't drive, and you won't go anywhere. Isn't that exactly what she's complaining about?
That's exactly what she's talking about.
They predicted this like 30 years ago.
That's wild.
And it's about to get worse.
It's about to get worse. I mean, the big print. I think the only way out of this for the system that has created the problem is to print more money and to devalue the currency even more, which will just make all the money that you're making, again, 23 or 2,800 or whatever it was a week. That sounds crazy to me right now, but think about this lady in this picture. If somebody was making that, oh my God, they would have been just an insanely wealthy, in the Hamptons, whatever they wanted to do with that kind of money, to some respect. And it's just, and now it's somebody screaming into their phone every second word is the F word and talking about how they can't even drive to Idaho, which, Idaho's nice, but like, come on, we got to think bigger than just driving to Idaho, right? Like,
I almost spit on my drink when you said that.
It's true. And
Idaho is actually pretty nice, though. I don't know if you guys have been there. It's pretty sick.
I haven't been there. These are my predictions for the next 30 years. What do you guys think?
Sorry?
These are my predictions for the next 30 years.
30 years? Man, I mean, probably one or two of these might be right, and the other ones will be crazy different. Like, it's really hard to predict, but,
I think, I was just going to say, I think if everything continues as it is today, Rajat, I think that these will actually be low.
You think so? Well,
I think so too, actually.
I don't think that we're going to go on like this for another 30 years. I don't think fiat's going to survive 30 years. We will have different versions of dollars, and it would be backed by gold, Bitcoin, whatever it is. But the fiat, I can't see the fiat dollar lasting another 30 years.
There's no reason for it. We have an escape now. You couldn't go back to gold. When this picture was taken, you couldn't go back to sound money. Nobody's at the burger joint is going to, you're not going to be able to shave off a little piece of gold and give them that, and they're going to test it and all this. I just went to a food truck and paid with Bitcoin the other day. It's easy. It happened immediately. I used the Lightning Network. It's here. The system to transact, to hold, and to store value is here. It's Bitcoin.
And you don't even have to like pay people in Bitcoin. You can also just, every time you get paid, you buy Bitcoin, and then you can use an app like ShakePay. Whereas if you're at the grocery store and you need to, because you're holding all of your dollars in Bitcoin instead of fiat, you can just sell that Bitcoin for fiat and pay the grocery store with that. So you're still not having to go out of your way to store it in something else, like Forrest mentioned there in gold. It would have been a lot harder to do that. Now it's easy. You get paid, you convert it to Bitcoin. When you need to buy things, you can swap it back into fiat in like less than 1 second. I do this every time I go to the grocery store. Since I store it all in Bitcoin, I just swap it instantly into fiat and pay my grocery bill.
Do you even need to do that, or it does it for you? It automatically swaps it?
No, I have to do that. Like I have to say, I want to sell this amount of Bitcoin based on how much my groceries are. At some point though, I'm sure they'll just do it kind of back end. Is that what you mean?
Yeah. I think Bitcoin Well actually has it so that you can pay. They don't have a Visa and stuff yet, but you can pay bills. Like you can pay your credit card bill or your house bill or something, and it automatically will withdraw it from your Bitcoin stack.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that's probably coming. Like think about how far we've come in like 16 years. And how many things are being built every single day. Yeah. Do you guys have any final thoughts before we wrap her?
Oh, I just wanted to confirm that video was from that ad was from 1996.
Really?
Wow. So that's 29 years ago.
Right on track.
Wow. I would just say, don't be like this lady, right? If you have a problem, if there's a big enough problem in your life that is causing you this much stress, like she's incredibly stressed in this video. Like I don't know how much of it is put on, but it seems pretty authentic actually.
Yeah.
It did.
And if something is causing you that much of a problem, start to look for a solution and start to look outside of the box. And obviously you're watching a video all the way to the end about Bitcoin. You're probably already on board. But if this is new to you, if the idea of Bitcoin is new to you, go deeper into it. Begin to understand every single thing that we've talked about here and how it will actually help you solve this incredible pain point that more and more people are going to face. This is just going to get worse, as we've said.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I just think that the average person doesn't want to do that. They want to be just like, they don't want to have to learn anything. They don't want to hear any counter arguments to the world that they see through their lens. Like I had a conversation with a guy last weekend about this, and I told him, like, I don't really care what's going on in that system because I don't live there anymore. We live on different planets. That's what I told him. But anyways, he showed me the chart and he's like, well, look at back in 2022 when it dropped this much. And that's all that he could focus on because he doesn't want to open his mind up that there is something else. It's so easy, but it's so difficult for people to accept the fact that this is happening, whether they like it or not, whether they care or not, and whether they're going to participate or not. So it's like, yeah, it dropped in 2022, but now it's double from there. So what are we looking at here?
Mm-hmm.
But they just don't want to accept that. They just focus on the worst things about it so they don't have to, do anything different in their lives. And it's going to cost a lot of people a lot of wealth.
It's doubled from the peak of last time, but it's 10x from the bottom of 2022. So it's all relative, and maybe it's as simple as like figuring out a portfolio allocation that does work for you. Like, you have a degree within your portfolio of things that are for different time periods. Like you have a month of fiat, you have 6 months of something more stable like precious metals or S&P 500. You have these are the assets that are, the volatility is worked out. The volatility risk is worked out within those time periods. Then you have a stack of Bitcoin that is your 4-year volatility gets worked out.
I think the only thing that you really need is just cash in Bitcoin. Don't even mess with getting bonds. Don't mess with getting the S&P 500. I know you said there that it's more stable, but the S&P 500, if you go a long enough time horizon, it's possible that the S&P 500 falls, like there are other markets in the world, like Japan's stock market, China's stock market, they didn't recover for a very long time, right? So when you buy these assets, you have to have the right time horizon. That's key. You have to understand that if you hold for too short of a period, you might feel stupid. So make sure that you hold for long enough, because in that long enough time horizon, the market will make it so that the price goes up eventually. So short term, just hold cash. I think that's perfectly fine. I would say hold something like 3 to 6 months worth of cash. What do you guys think of that? 3 to 6 months worth of cash?
I mean, yeah, I mean, it entirely depends on it depends on the individual. I mean, even the portfolio that I designed, it's sort of like an intermediate step between getting to there. I would say, like, if somebody's really that worried about volatility, you can kind of look at the metrics of, like, on average, how long can you hold this asset until you're most likely to be nominally higher, right? And that percentage, like, you know, S&P, it's like you're 70% nominally up if you hold it for like a year or something like that. Like 70% chance that you're nominally up. I don't know exactly, but it's so that's a measure of volatility risk, basically, is what I'm saying. So there, if volatility is a serious problem for you too, and is permitting you from getting more invested into Bitcoin, then that might be a way to, like, step into it, is have different tranches of volatility risk assets. But I do agree with you that ultimately, probably the best portfolio, the most basic best portfolio, the combination of those two things, would be some short-term cash and all long-term Bitcoin. It can be as simple and basic as that, and you're going to outperform the vast majority of people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like for some people, it could be worth it to hold 4 years worth of cash, just because they're in that situation, right? If they have a fixed income, everybody's situation is completely different. So I feel like it's, even for her, like if she even had 1% of her portfolio in Bitcoin, she'd probably be much better off.
She should, though. Like, kind of my point on this, as you guys were talking through that, I'm like, do you even need cash though? Like, I don't keep much cash, but the difference there is I don't have a fixed income. I have I make money, right? And so that was the other guy's argument that I was talking to. He's like, well, what if Bitcoin crashes and you have all your wealth in Bitcoin? I'm like, well, I work, I add value to the world, and I get paid. And so I can meet my necessary requirements for my mortgage, for my car payment, for this, for that. I can meet those because I'm getting paid in fiat. That's the disconnect with people there. It's like, I'm getting paid in fiat. So even if Bitcoin went, dropped 90%, I'm still going to be okay because I'm still adding value to the world. I'm still working. It's different for somebody who's in retirement and they rely on their fixed income, whatever they have as fixed income, to pay for things. Then of course you need something that's more stable, like cash or gold or whatever. But like for somebody who's adding value and maybe getting paid in fiat, like I don't see any reason to hold cash personally.
You know what, George? I got to answer this with, I woke up this morning, first email on my phone, your overdraft balance or protection has just been enabled. Your bank balance is negative $38. So there's your answer for me personally. But I again, exact same situation as you, and I have been making money, and it's in other places, and I just moved a little bit over, and overdraft protection and all that. But if I didn't, I'd be paying interest on that. So but each to their own, right? Everybody's situation is going to be different.
Yeah. And there was I saw an article today saying that in the UK right now, as of September 1st, banks are limiting $3,000 worth of cash per day withdrawals. So it's like, that's why it's like, I don't want to have my money in the banks anymore because I don't think that they need to be around anymore. They are the biggest part of this problem. I shouldn't say like local banks, but like that whole system is what's causing all this stress. So for anybody out there listening to this, there's no sense in getting too mad about it. You might say, well, Bitcoin could go to zero. Yeah, but fiat is definitely going to zero.
Yeah.
You have nothing to lose at this point. Even if Bitcoin does crash, that means that the rest of the world has crashed before that. So that's not an excuse. Everything that you're coming up with is just a lie to yourself. It's laziness. And I think that people just need to get over that hump and the world will change.
Or it's lack of understanding. And if you have a knowledge gap, you try to fill that knowledge gap.
Yeah.
That's all you do. And you be intellectually honest with yourself that you don't fully understand it, and you seek that information.
Personal responsibility.
Yeah.
Personal responsibility. If you can't blame the system, you can't blame anybody else. If your life sucks, then do something about it. And if it still sucks, then ask yourself why it sucks and then try to fix it. So,
and the other thing too is like those are problems, right? The taxes and everything that she talked about,
100%.
those are 100% problems, but they are not problems that you can solve. They are bigger than what you can do as an individual. And when you're trying to solve those problems or trying to deal with those problems, it's going to drive you nuts. You're going to be screaming into a phone and every single word is going to be the F word, right? You're going to go crazy like that woman. Focus on what you can change and change it. Focus on what you can control. And that is your personal finance. You have some control over that.
That's
yes.
it. I was going to say, focus on what you can control. Stop. Like, even making these videos, it's not really helping anybody. There's so many of them out there already, right? Like the video where she was just complaining, like, "Oh, this is wrong, this is wrong." Yeah, we get it. Yeah. There's thousands of videos like that already out there. Do something about it, because you can't change anything by making the video. It's not going to change anything. Even if Donald Trump sees it, it's not like he's going to say, "Oh, inflation needs to go down. Let's help her out. Let's give her some cash." He's not going to do that.
Well, even he can't control it, right? Like the most powerful person in the U.S. government can't control it either, because the system is built. The system's built, and there's too many people that benefit from it. So, yeah.
Yep.
The other system's built too, though. It's the alternate monetary network, and you can just hop on board.
Yes.
Peaceful revolution.
Exactly. Everyone's welcome.
And if you want a little community to be part of with that, you can go to school.com/Maple Bitcoin. And you can join Forrest, Rajat, myself, and 150 or 160 Bitcoiners from around the world. So our idea here is that we want to start building the other system. We don't want to complain about what's happening here. We want to actually do something and collaborate with other people, learn from other people, build with other people, and just talk with other people. Because I'll tell you one thing, it's much more refreshing to talk to people like you than people like her. So consider joining the Maple Bitcoin School community. And if you learned anything from this video or enjoyed it, you can send some sats to that QR code right beside Forrest's head. So thank you, fellas. That was a great video. Hopefully everybody enjoys it. Send it to anybody in your life struggling from fiat derangement syndrome there. And we'll see you on the next one, fellas.